Hi guys, this is Tablet-News.com and I'm here with the Google Nexus 10 tablet by Samsung. This was the first tablet to run Android 4.2 and the price tag is $399 for this 10-inch tablet with an incredible resolution. It was announced back in October 2012. It was released in November and it debuted Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, and we're sorry for the review delay of this tablet, but we had a ton of other devices to review, some of them premieres, some of them really interesting and other not quite so. So here we're dealing with a tablet with an incredible resolution and a 10.1 inch screen that's beautiful. By the way, we have applied a live wallpaper, the Toy Story live wallpaper that you can find in the Play Store for free right now. Now let's analyze the design of this newcomer that we're testing right now. So we're dealing with a thickness of 8.9 millimeters. So not the thinnest tablet out there, but also not the bulkiest. It weighs 603 grams, not so heavy. It has Gorilla Glass 2 protection at the front, and it has a back with a rubberized texture, very nice grip. However, it does collect some stains, some fingerprints and other stuff like that. At the top we have the on-off button right here. Next to it you have the volume button. At the bottom of the device we've got the magnetic pogo pin charger. On the left side we've got the micro USB, and next to it the audio jack. On the right side, we have the micro HDMI port right here, and finally at the front we have huge speakers on this side and on this side, flanking the 10-inch screen from right here, and also have a front camera. At the back, once again, this is the 5 megapixel camera that the device comes with, a surprising camera, I have to say that, with a flash and the logo, the Nexus logo and the Samsung logo. The device is slightly curved, as you can see, both at the edges and in its profile, and it sits nicely in the hand. It has a plastic back, not rubber. It may feel like rubber, it's actually plastic with a soft touch material on top. It feels resilient and it's actually 50 grams lighter than the iPad 4. It kind of makes your hand sweaty if you hold it for a longer period of time, so keep that in mind. By the way, here next to the camera area you can detach this lid, but there's nothing underneath, so that's only something that you need to know for the future. As far as hardware goes, we've got here a Super PLS TFT display. It's a capacitive touchscreen, and Google calls this a true RGB real stripe PLS screen with a diagonal of 10.1 inches and a huge resolution of 2560 pixels over 1600 pixels. And you realize that we're dealing with something special when you look at the writing below the icons. So once again, a truly special display we're dealing with right here. Its density of pixels amounts to 299 ppi, and other features include 16 or 32 gigabytes of storage, 2 gigs of RAM, and at the back we've got a 5 megapixel camera right here with LED flash. Up front, a 1.9 megapixel camera, and inside the brain of this device, back then it was a new generation of CPU, now, well, not so new. I'm talking about the dual-core Cortex A15 processor. So it's a dual-core Cortex A15, 1.7 gigahertz, that's the frequency, and the chipset is an Exynos 5250. So that's the inside of the device that I'm talking about, and the GPU is a quad-core Mali T604. On the connectivity side, well, we get Wi-Fi with MIMO, Bluetooth 3.0, NFC, micro USB. We also get an accelerometer, GPS, gyroscope, barometer, and there's also a compass on board, DLNA, and you should also know that on the NFC side we have NFC both at the front of the tablet and at the back of the device. Other stuff worth mentioning, well, good old battery. So inside we got a non-removable lithium polymer battery with a capacity of 9000 mAh, and it's good enough, according to Google, for 500 hours of standby functioning. In our tests, this device got 7 hours of continuous video playback, and you can also get about, let's say, half a day of normal use. If you do some web browsing, some YouTube, some emails, some games, you get about half a day of normal use, sacrificing the brightness just a little bit and the connectivity just a little bit. My major objection regarding this tablet is how long it takes the battery to charge. It will take about 5 hours to charge the battery to the full level, which is a big objection from me. So those are the hardware specs of the device. Now let's see the multimedia. Okay guys, time to test the multimedia abilities of the tablet. That's why I'm going to use SoundCloud for the audio part. So here we go. Let's search for a favorite DJ of mine. Here it is. His name is Mitis, and by the way, you should really listen to his work since it's pretty cool. So let's turn up the volume. We got front speakers, as you can see on the sides, huge speakers. We also have great volume and great bass. Okay, so you get the idea. We have excellent volume, one of the best volumes I've ever heard on a tablet. We also have very good bass, very good clarity. There's absolutely no distortion even when the device gets very loud. And the stock application that comes with the tablet, it supports MP3 files, FLAC files, WAV files, and WMV files. This is one of the best tablets when it comes to audio. And when it comes to video, I'm going to access the gallery and play a trailer of a game that you will surely liked if you liked the previous titles from the series. It's a bit of a surprise from GDC 2013. That's where it was shown, and if you're a Metal Gear Solid fan, you'll surely love Metal Gear Solid 5. This is its trailer. Let's skip to the interesting parts. So as you can see, the Nexus 10 has excellent color reproduction, great clarity. However, I find that it could need a little bit more brightness, and the viewing angles are actually not that good, if you ask me. So they could work a bit on the viewing angles, but I'm happy with the color reproduction. This is a 16:9 display and the text is very crisp, as I shown you earlier. By the way, the resolution is 2560 over 1600 pixels. The black is not that deep on this screen, as black as I want it to, and there's a little bit of a problem that I will show you right now. Right here in the bottom right corner of the tablet, there is a slight light leakage in this area, which is not something that Samsung would like from a quality device like this one. So overall, the screen experience is under my expectations. However, we got excellent color reproduction and excellent clarity. I find that the tablet needs a bit more brightness and it also needs better viewing angles. However, the text is very crisp, and I'm giving the example of the icons and the text below the icons that looks very crisp. Imagine how crisp the text is in the browser. Okay, so we're done with the screen. Overall, I find this display to be below the display of the iPad 3 and iPad 4, the Retina, so sorry Samsung for that. Now it's time to analyze the camera, and for that I'm going to search the camera app, show you the interface, and use this little toy here as a model. So taking a picture of the toy, focusing, here we go. Of course, the pictures are taken reasonably fast. And of course, you can do a 360-degree panorama, a photosphere, a normal panorama. You can do some video capture. And here are the options. You can play with the exposure. These are the settings. We got the scene modes, like action, night, sunset or party. We also got the storing location. The picture size goes to 5 megapixels. And let's switch to filming. Actually, this 5 megapixel camera was a very pleasant surprise to me. We got time lapse, we can do 1080p capture and tweak the flash, and finally you can also tweak the white balance with these options. So overall I was very happy with the camera, but now let me show you some samples so you can realize why I was so happy with this camera. So we're going to enter the gallery, quit the trailer. I know that the pictures were taken on a sunny day, but still impressive pictures. So let me show you the picture I've taken earlier. As you can see, indoors, not so good quality, a bit of noise going on here. And let's get back to the gallery. Okay, gallery, and let me show you some of the very colorful pictures I've taken with this slate. So outdoors pictures. The colors are very vivid. Sometimes they even feel a bit oversaturated, if you ask me. They feel a bit unrealistic. But for a tablet camera, a 5 megapixel tablet camera, it was way above my expectations. I have to say that. And indoor there's a lot of noise, and sadly outdoor, if you zoom in, you will find a lot of grain and noise in the pictures. But it's probably also because of the resolution of the display, since on the PC they look just fine. So the camera is a pleasant surprise, everything is crisp, but the video is not so good, as you'll see in a minute now. So here's a video taken with the camera of the device. For some reason, when doing video, the camera tends to exaggerate with the zoom, so you actually will film stuff closer, much closer than you are to the object. The audio quality is strangely good for the tablet. Okay, so overall the 5 megapixel camera with flash from the Nexus 10 is a pleasant surprise and something that I would call one of the best cameras on Android tablets out there. Usually the Asus tablets with their 8 megapixel cameras set the standards, but this one tends to get pretty close to that one, to the Asus Transformer Pad 700 for example. Okay guys, you know what time it is. It's time to analyze the software of the device. We're done with the multimedia, we're done with the specs. So this tablet runs Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean in the latest iteration available, and we've got Chrome as the main browser that you can see right here, and I'm going to access Tablet-News.com. By the way, this is the virtual keyboard of the device, typical for an Android slate. Here we go, Tablet-News.com. Everything will be crisp, courtesy of the brilliant resolution of the display. You don't even have to zoom in, you can easily read everything on this hugely crisp display. And the usual options are available in Chrome, like incognito tab, bookmarks, sharing, requesting desktop site, and other stuff like that. So this is the web browsing experience via Chrome. By the way, we did a little bit of testing thanks to a new application that was launched recently. It's 3D Mark. So gone are the days of Quadrant and Antutu ruling the benchmark area. On Android we also have 3D Mark right now, and we actually scored some good results here. We got 7,942 in the Ice Storm score and 5,479 in the Extreme Ice Storm score. So the average score is 7,700. And by the way, the highest mark that was reached by a device seems to be 10,000. So at 7,700 we're sitting actually pretty nicely. As you can see, the Galaxy S4 has reached that huge score. So we're dealing with a decent score in 3D Mark. There's a device channel here, you can see the top points. I can see that the HTC One has 10,000 points, LG Nexus 4 10,000 as well. Sony Xperia Tablet Z 9,000, surprising score. And a bunch of other models also in impressive scores. Okay, as you can see, the normal list of applications is here, a list of widgets, all of them stock, nothing personalized by Samsung. And there's this dock area at the bottom that includes the main apps that you can access. Of course, you can move them if you want. Of course, you can access app like this, and I'm talking about the two sliding areas from the top a bit later on. Now I'm going to show you some benchmarks using the gallery section, the other benchmarks, the ones that you already know from our previous reviews. So let's exit the gallery, enter the screenshot area, and I decided to compare the Nexus 10 with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, one of the most powerful quad-core tablets of last year, and the Asus Transformer Infinity Pad, still one of the most powerful Asus Android tablets. In quadrant we had a modest score, 4614. We were beat by the Galaxy Note and its 5000 points, and also beat by the Asus Infinity Pad, but only by 100 points. In Antutu we have a respectable score, 13,000 points. We beat the Galaxy Note 10.1 with its 12,000 points, and also the Asus Infinity also with 12,000 points. In Velamo we're not sitting very well, 1,800 points. We were beaten by the Galaxy Note 10.1 with its 2,356 points, but we beat the Asus Transformer Infinity Pad that only had 1,500 points. As usual, we also tried the browser mark test with a pretty good result, 2076 points. Keep one thing in mind, nowadays benchmarks are not optimized for Android 4.2, and my only impression of a relevant benchmark is 3D Mark. So actually in the top third performant devices with Android right now, you can disregard Quadrant or Antutu in favor of 3D Mark. Okay, now we're in the apps area, and as you can see during the review I'm playing with the Toy Story wallpaper just a bit, so you can play with this bouncy ball, throw some darts. Pretty cool wallpaper, by the way. Okay, back to the app section. We've got the calendar available right here. You probably heard of the calendar, with a week setup, month setup, agenda setup. And aside from the calendar, we've got Google Current available here. If you're sick of the blink feed from HTC One, if you're sick of the Flipboard, there's Google Currents to save the day. So you can view your favorite news in this format, with all the favorite sections right here. So you can also check out sports with breaking stories. I can see that the images take quite a while to load. I'm a bit unhappy about that. And some people will probably keep using Flipboard in the end, or want to migrate BlinkFeed to other platforms. Okay, so aside from calendar and currents, other applications bundled with this device include the usual clock that you can see right here. We also have Google Earth that I frankly didn't even open once on this tablet. I can't really see why people want to play with this app so much. Is the fascination of Earth, obviously, especially on such a powerful device with a new generation Exynos CPU and an upgraded application. One of the good things is that you can take a virtual tour of the towns all over the world, see various locations with that photo slider from the bottom. But other than that, many of you have already played with Google Earth for years now. And then there's Gmail, offering you all the emails you need in this split screen view. And other than that, we got obviously Google Maps. Google Plus is also here. So the full suite of applications is here. But this time it looks crisper than ever thanks to the huge resolution of the display that even beats the Retina display as far as pixel count is concerned. So as I said before, we've got these two top bars from the notification area. As you can see, they have been divided. This one is for notifications and this one is for toggles and connectivity settings plus profile settings. Speaking of profile, we have a setting in the settings area. It's called users. You can also add a new user, one of the important features of Android 4.2. So if you have a kid or a family member with separate interests, ones that do not fit yours, you can create a special user for your wife or your kid. And frankly speaking, I don't quite like these two bars. I heard people who are fans of this layout. I frankly prefer a single bar unified for both functions. Okay, other than that, one is for shortcuts, one is for notifications, and I frankly don't see the use of it. I'm also not a big fan of this dock area at the bottom. It seems to take up too much space on the screen. I would have preferred a smaller dock area. And Android 4.2 also brought those famous lock screen widgets that you can see right here. I have attached Gmail and the calendar as my lock screen options. And let's go back again and see what we can add aside from those. So I'm going to press the plus. I can also add the calendar, email, digital clock, Google Plus posts, and other stuff like that. And I can simply view them straight from the lock screen without hassle. So I can check out these emails without even having to unlock the device and see calendar events straight from the lock screen. Of course, Android 4.2 also brings Photosphere that you saw earlier and Google Now. And thanks to the new version of Android, it brings more cards. There are photo spots nearby, the weather, your usual transit routes to work. And one last thing to show you, a little extra feature, you probably know it already. So let's say if I want to write something like tablets, you can do that by swiping around to compose a word. And that was probably the last software aspect we could cover about the Nexus 10 from Google and Samsung. And now it's time for the big pros and cons section for this device. This is the Nexus 10 from Google and Samsung, the only tablet out there with a huge resolution that beats the Retina display. So we're dealing with a tablet with a not so bad price. It's actually a pretty affordable tablet. It's sub the $500 mark of many other good tablets. It has excellent speakers, as you heard earlier. It also has very good grip thanks to the rubberized texture at the back. The camera was surprisingly good, 5 megapixel camera with LED flash. Samsung showed that they can really make a good sensor. The HDMI port is also a plus, especially compared to the Nexus 7 that didn't have one. And the combination between CPU and GPU was pretty good, as shown in the 3D Mark browser. The only relevant benchmark, not browser, the only relevant benchmark nowadays for Android 4.2 devices, since Quadrant and Antutu don't quite know how to analyze an Android 4.2 device. On the negative side, I was expecting better viewing angles on this tablet, to be honest, a bit more brightness, and the battery charging in 5 hours surely doesn't help the device. And also there's no micro SD. Android 4.2 10-inch interface is not to my liking, with these dual bars here and this dock area at the bottom. Lots of wasted space if you ask me. And one last thing, the back side of the device is way too easy to get dirty and filled with fingerprints. So not too many cons, quite a bit of pros. This is actually a good purchase if you want the best Android tablet on the market, at least when it comes to the screen resolution. For the design of the Nexus 10, we give it a 9 out of 10. For the hardware, a 9 out of 10. It could have been a 10, but the battery decreased the mark. And finally, for operating system and user interface, in spite of me not liking some aspects, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. The final grade is 9.16 out of 10 for the Nexus 10, which makes it an excellent tablet with a very good price and a very solid Android device, at least till the next Google I/O and the next Nexus tablets. That's it, folks, from Tablet-News.com. Bye bye.